All right, guys, we're here in the shop at home, and I'll talk about off the grid. A lot of people like watching the show. They kind of interested in what I do, but I want to kind of go through how it all works and what it takes to really film these shows and achieve the goals I'm trying to do to get back in these places that never get fished. That your typical guy wouldn't take a boat and different things, but some of the necessities that it takes and what you have to have equipment wise to do this. And the number one thing is having the right type of boat. I've got a Gator Trax GT series, a flat bottom, 3/16 thick hull. I mean, this thing is indestructible. It's a tank, and it's built so sturdy, so tough that I'm able to jump beaver dam, jump over logs, go over rocks, levees, you name it. I'm able to maneuver this boat in a way to get back in these places without compromising one bit the structure of the boat. It's just the way it's built, the way it's designed. It's all custom welded. That I can't tear this boat up. I mean, I've ran this boat a couple years now on the biggest tours in bass fishing, and it's still as solid as it was when it was built the first day. So, having the right boat, Mercury motor, I got a 115 Pro XS, a reliable motor that's going to get you to the areas and back from the areas. And also having a reliable trolling motor. I'm hitting stumps, logs, going through grass, shallow stuff. I mean, the Garmin Force has been a must, and it's been a great addition to my lineup as fishing competition and fishing off the grid. It's just a tough trolling motor that I can rely on, that it's going to work and it's not going to tear up. So, starting from the tip of the boat and all the way to the back, some of the things I have on this GT series is a winch. I got a Warn winch. It's an 8,000-pound winch. It comes out the nose of the boat. So the boat is designed around this winch in a sense. It comes out the nose and it's mounted in the boat underneath the front deck. It's reinforced with bracing. So I mean, I can pull this boat up a hill, dry land, over whatever, and it's not going to fail on me. It's going to stay, and I've pulled it through some stuff that I'm like, man, this thing is anchored really, really good. But that's what you get when you got solid boats with solid bracing and welding and the correct stuff to do that. But yeah, just like I was saying, the flat bottom's real key to be able to slide over things. It's really hard to do that on a V bottom boat. Another key toward the back, what I think is very beneficial to be able to run and run safely. And let me explain as far as what I do. Safety's first. I mean, I do a lot of crazy stuff, but we got to keep in mind and consider the fact is that there's things that I do, it's kind of sketchy, but I do it in a safe way. I don't encourage anybody to go out there and do this recklessly and potentially get hurt. This is taking years of learning and prep and understanding what I can and can't do in a boat. I have yet to have a problem with my equipment. It doesn't fail on me. I don't tear anything up. It's because I know how to maneuver. I know how to, I bump stuff, boom, boom, but that doesn't hurt the boat one bit. So moving back into the back of the boat, some necessities is a hydraulic jack plate. It's a 6-inch plate. I get the motor up really high, and especially when I'm running, the prop is kind of halfway in the water. It's only about that much in the water, so I'm able to run in some of these sketchy areas and not hit anything. And if you do bump something, it's normally the skag. And you got to understand too, a 115 Mercury doesn't have the torque like a 250. I'm not going as fast. There's not a lot of power behind it, if you will, that's going to cause any serious damage, serious injury. If you was to hit something, it's not as extreme as a big motor. So having a jack plate, getting that motor up is real key. Also, a low water pickup. It's mounted on the transom. So the water pickup for the motor is coming through this 1-inch square tubing. It's cut out of 45. You got to plug the ports up on the lower unit, because if you don't do that, then it's going to lose prime. It's going to suck air because the lower unit's out of the water. So you got to plug these holes. I tapped them, well, threaded them, and put studs in there with Loctite. And what's good about this is you can take these out, plug this hole where you got to tap into the side of the lower unit for the water to go in there to have the water pressure. But I plug this fitting, and I take the studs out. Then I can use it as a traditional lower unit. Regular, like if I'm fishing big water, don't need the low water pickup, I can change it back to the factory settings. So as far as the boat, the equipment that stays on a boat, that's it. But there's still a couple of things that you have to bring um, to eventually get to the places you want to get, because you gotta cut logs, you gotta get out of the boat sometimes and maneuver, hook up a winch. So let's go with number one, and this is probably a big tool that you need to have, because you run into stuff. You got limbs coming down, trees, logs that sometimes it's just too big to jump, or it's too nasty, too thick, and I don't want to do too much um, to jump something. So I will use the old steel chainsaw to cut a tree or a limb that's hanging down. People ask why I don't use an electric chainsaw. Well, the old trusty gas steel chainsaw uh, gets the job done. It never fails me, and it's a little louder, but I still like using gas. It's got the power to get the job done. Next, on a smaller scale, I'm going to use always the little handy, trusty little uh, saw. It's a little work, you know what I'm saying? This thing's old, but you can buy these at Walmart, Academy, wherever. I mean, it's just a little saw. It cuts really good. It's for the small stuff. You don't have to pull the big saw out. Limbs that's just kind of in the way. That's you just want to clear it a little bit. Always a good little tool to saw that. Then if you got to get out of the boat, and that happens quite often. Old duck waders, the Frog Tog duck waders. They're real comfortable. They're waterproof, of course. Also, if it's cold, there's liners you can put in these. But man, and when it's hot, it's kind of okay to get out with your tennis shoes on, wade in some stuff. But when it's mud, it's gunk, you don't want to be getting out of the boat in that stuff, getting all over your shoes, your legs, and everything, then have to get back in the boat and get mud everywhere. So a good thing I like about this Gator Trax is when I got the waders on, we got this hunt deck in the back, and I'll step up on this hunt deck, and it's the water's about this high typically as it's floating, but when you're standing back here, it kind of goes down and water sloshes up. So I can clean my waders off, clean everything before I get into the boat and get mud everywhere, because I am going to fish. I don't want to have mud, be walking in mud while I'm trying to fish. So Frog Tog waders, good place to clean your hands, clean your waders off, and get back to where you want to start fishing. Tools. Bringing the tools is always a must. Knowing what to bring, but knowing how to use your tools too. Be familiar with what you have, and understand what it actually takes to fix something. Because I've dinged a prop. You know what I'm saying? I've had to change a prop out. So that is having the right size socket to be able to do that is a must. But as far as equipment, that's it. And when we get to where we're going, we got to start fishing, right? So having the right baits. I mean, Berkley baits, MaxScent, Power Bait. That's all I use, and there are a lot of good baits that I use. As far as flipping, the Pit Boss, different things, the Hit Worm, the General. That's baits that I rely on. The Berkley Slobber Knocker, Vibrating Jig. These are baits that I like to throw in those type of scenarios, because it's typically shallow types of baits that I can get bit on, that I know that when I get there, I can find out what lives in these areas. And when it comes to rods and reels, I'm using the Fenwick Elite a lot of times, 7.6 heavy. So if I can go through and film it off the grid and come back with rods still together, not broken, that's what I like about Fenwick. I can go, I can fish the way I like to, and not have to worry about compromising my rods. Hey, that's what I do. That's a list of things that I have in my boat when I film an off the grid, when I film a competition. You know, I use this stuff even when I'm practicing. I'm using some of this equipment to get back in some of these areas to try to be successful in that event. So, um, hey, if you guys want to do this, take the time to research, understand, know your equipment, know how to run your boat, know what it can and can't do to be safe. Number one, safety is always first, and things do happen, but if you take your time and you plan it out, you have a great trip and you'll have a lot of fun and catch a lot of bass.